All right, welcome back. Now you have, hopefully you have your line drawn with your 7 dots. Now, what you want to do is you want to create something that some people call alpha lines. Now, you just want to go from the corner of the paper to dot number 1, and then to dot number 2, to dot number 3, to dot number 4, to dot number 5, to dot number 6, to dot number 7, and to the edge of your paper. I kind of missed that dot right there, to the edge of the paper. Now, you don't want the distance here to be too narrow, and you don't want it to be too wide. So if you really have to have a measurement, I would say don't have this less than 1/4 inch. Because if you have these too close together, what happens is they're very hard to do. If they're too far apart, your eye somehow doesn't integrate the design. So after you have your first one made, you can add your second one. And you always go back to the dot, and then you can you can see what I'm doing is I'm kind of driving up to the dot and then excuse me and then coming back down. Up to the dot and coming back down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this until this half of the paper is covered. So I'm just going to continue till this half of the paper is covered. So I'm going to stop in just a second, and then we'll come back and I will show you the next step. I've spent the last half hour, and I finished my alpha lines. My alpha lines go all the way to the edge of the paper here, to the edge here, to the edge here. So everything that is beneath your original line curves downward. Everything that is above your original line curves upward. So I'm just going to continue what I did on the bottom side, but I'm going to go the other way. And then as I'm going, I have a little bit of carte blanche, which means I can make the decision that I want to make. Nobody, it's up to me what I want to do. And some of these lines, then I can make them come back like this. You can see I'm hitting the dot, but I'm also just retracing the path. So I can do that. And I can't totally control what I'm doing. I'm just kind of following this idea because I want to just get these lines, these curvy lines, because I know that curvy lines give you the feeling of movement. Flattened out lines, or lines created with a ruler, those are going to just flatten out space. So it's going to kind of just take a life of its own, which is perfectly all right. And some places, when the alpha lines, when they get too close together, then I just end up sometimes just skipping them all together. Like, let me show you here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. This alpha line here is going to be really small. So that one, I'm just going to put that together. And I can make decisions like that because there's really no right way or wrong way to do this. So I'm going to continue these out until the whole paper is covered with these alpha lines. And so then I will have my beginning drawing created, and I'll be ready to put in the color. Okay, by now you should have your paper covered with alpha lines. Notice that you want to go all the way to the edge, all the way around your paper. You don't want to leave any place that's not covered. So now, after you get to that point, you get to decide how you want to shade in your lines. Now, we know that curved lines create the illusion of depth on a flat surface. Flat lines, or straight lines, flatten out space. So what we're going to do is we are going to use our colored pencils, and we're going to enhance this idea of movement. Now, some people like to start on one end and work to the other end. for some reason, I like to start in the middle. So I'm going to start in the middle. It doesn't matter where you start, and it doesn't matter which way you go. But it just, however it feels right in your head. And I'm also going to put a piece of paper down here so that I don't smudge my work. I'm going to start with a piece of a colored pencil. This is just a violet pencil. And you can use any colors that you like, but just don't use too many. Probably 4 plus black would be optimum. But you can even use just 3 if you want. Now, we know that to create the illusion of depth on a flat surface, you want to have anything that is closer to the valley. Anything that's, I would call these little things valleys. But anything in the valley, you want it to be darker. And as you go forward, you want to lighten up the pressure on your colored pencil. And then as you get to the center, you want to be barely touching your colored pencil, and you want to have the white of the paper show through. And that's what really gives it the sparkle. So you just do this by going back and forth, and it has to do with the pressure. So you have more pressure when you come to your pencil lines. You lighten up as you get to the center. Now I'm going to do it from this side. You darken up as you are in the edges next to the valley, and as you come forward, you lighten up. Now, if you have to practice on a different sheet of paper how to not have stop and start lines, I would do that. But I've done this many times, so I kind of know how to do it. And then in the very center, you want the white of the paper showing through. Now, I'm going to do the next one in this pink. So again, remember that colored pencils, they're meant to be used up. So it's okay if you press hard in the valleys and then you lighten up and you try to avoid any stop and start marks. And you want to have just that white sparkle in the center of your artwork. And so here I'm going to do another one where I'm pressing really hard. And as I come forward, I'm going to lighten up, lighten up, lighten up. You really want to have the white of the paper in each one of these about the same, at the same place. And so you can do that. Now, I'm going to go back and I want to show you some of those samples that I showed you at the beginning. And if we do that, then it'll make more sense to see how they were created. Okay, let me do this one first. Okay, all right. Here you can see how this person did this really, really well. Right here in the center, you can see how nice and dark they are here, and then as they come forward, they lighten up. Perhaps their white sparkle in the paper was a little too wide. They might have been able to make that a little bit narrower. And also, you don't want to see stop and start marks. That is called gradation. You want to have a very nice, consistent, and even gradation going from the lightest light to the darkest dark. And by doing that, you simply control the pressure. Okay, here's another one. Let's take a look at this one. Again, very nice. Again, if I would have done this a little differently, I would have had this white sparkle probably in the same spot, and where it gets really wide here, I probably would have not had that quite as wide. But I really like that white sparkle of the paper because that gives you another dimension. This one is really done well because you can see how that white sparkle makes it really, really sparkle. Now, they could have pressed a little harder when they got into the valleys because you want to be able to count about 5 different values going from light to dark in one color. So from the lightest light to the darkest darks, you should be able to count about 5 different values. Now this one is kind of interesting again because what this person did after they were done shading the whole thing, going from light to dark, they outlined the alpha lines with their marker, with their black marker. And that is certainly another thing that you can do. So with these instructions, I think you have just about everything that you need to create this project. It takes a while. Be patient. Don't give up. Don't try to do it all at one time. And if you need to contact me, you can contact me on the discussion board or through email, through Moodle, and I can also talk to you one at a time if you upload or if you scan your projects or if you somehow get them to me electronically, either by scanning or by photographing them with your iPhone. Thank you for your attention, and please, good luck with this project. Thank you so much.